The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Are we going to get into it today? The cosmos, the universe, God himself. Have you ever wondered how something could possibly happen from nothing? Could you put together anything if you didn't have anything? Could you put together that chair you're sitting on if you didn't have the parts? Adversity, challenge, tragedy. How do we find wonder, joy, and meaning with all of this chaos that surrounds us? The chaos thrust upon us by a government who's weaponized its legal system, opened its borders. One moment, take a deep breath. We're going to answer that question. Wonder, joy, meaning in this life, yours, more than you can possibly imagine. Ladies and gentlemen, The Right Side with Doug Billings is now upon you. Are you ready? Let's go.
Hey everybody, my name is General Mike Flynn, and I'm here to do a big shout out for my great friend and one of the best in the business, Mr. Doug Billings. Right Side with Doug Billings, Right Side with Doug Billings. Doug is the future of the airwaves when it comes to independent broadcasters and podcasters. He is the new Rush Limbaugh. He's exactly what America needs right now, looking for honesty, looking for wisdom, looking for truth, looking for patriotism. Listen to Doug Billings at Right Side with Doug Billings. God bless you and God bless America, and thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are winning. We're winning, winning, winning. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Are you ready?
We are not liberal snowflakes who melt away in the face of tragedy, adversity, and challenge. We are a covenant nation under God, and his divine providence is not dead and it's not gone. It is living within each and every one of you. And you will bring it to life in such a way that the world has never seen before. We never back down. We never give up. We march forward.
Similar, it's startling. This is a simulation of how matter in the universe arranges itself. And this is what the neural network in the brain looks like. About 30% of the universe is matter, both dark and ordinary, and the other about 70% is dark energy, which is largely a mystery. And similarly, the human brain is about 70% water and 30% brain cells. Where it gets crazy is that matter in the universe and brain cells both arrange themselves in long connected filaments. These filaments form the neural network in the brain and the cosmic web in space. And scientists found that the density distribution and structure of matter in the universe and brain cells in the cerebellum is very similar. As you can imagine, the scale between these two things are opposite, but it's possible that the structure and connectivity between these two networks follow similar physical principles.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Thanks for joining us. That clip that you just heard or saw, Astra Alexandra, a social media influencer who is an employee of NASA, has great content on the internet. And what an opening segment. I want to talk about it at great length. I also want to remind you to head over to dougbillings.us, head over there and click on the support tab at the top of the page. Make sure you support us over there. And if you're watching us on YouTube, click on the subscribe button and let me know in the comments how you feel about the shows that we produce over here as well. We're trying to rebuild that YouTube presence. It's where do you come, after all? Right here for this kind of discussion. Today, we're going to get into it. Some of philosophy, a little bit of theology, a little bit about the cosmos, a little bit about the meaning of life and about how life came to be. That opening clip, Astra Alexandra. I've always found the universe to be fascinating. I'm a big fan of NASA and what they've done in space, the moon landings, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you tell the kooks out there we really did go to the moon. We've seen through telescopes the equipment left behind. It's really there. It's really there. But I've always found the universe and the cosmos to be something of a fascination, a definite interest. I'm not certain that Astra Alexandra intended that clip to be used for what I'm going to do with regards to our kickoff here in this discussion today. But I want to supplement that clip with my explanation about the existence of God that I saw on another show that I'll get to in a minute. But I want to explain to you why I feel this way. I want to explain to you why, for me, this is a relevant topic in today's world. I think that we've lost sight of the spiritual element, the divine providence of God. I know that for those of you that watch or listen to this show, you can listen to it again on any podcast platform. You've heard me mention the divine providence of God many, many times. I'm a believer in the divine providence of God. I subscribe to what the founding fathers noticed in the world, nature and nature's law, God's divine providence, and God's active hand throughout all of this. So in that clip, as you just saw, she likens the structure of our universe to that of our human brain. And it's not her just speculating, but she's using data. She's using images of the universe that are taken from space telescopes. So, and what we see is this interconnected web of codependent attributes acting in accord and in a choreography with one another, both in the universe and in our brains, right? So she makes that comparison. And because science and divinity can coexist, ladies and gentlemen, and because they can actually complement one another, I want to talk about this. We know that the human body is comprised of billions and billions of cells. And within each one of those cells is the matter, the elixir, the recipe, whatever you want to call it, that's required to create us or to recreate us, for that matter. In each of our cells, there resides the matter to create us. And as I look at it, what Astra Alexandra is talking about really is what's called implicit order. And it's a real phenomenon that exists not only in our human bodies, but in the universe and in nature. Every one of our cells is implicated with our entire body. Implicated order or implicit order. Everything in the universe is implicit with everything in it. And inferred, I think, from Alexandra's video, is that the imprint within us apparently is imprinted on the entirety of the universe. Take a look again at that clip. Astra Alexandra, ladies and gentlemen.
So similar, it's startling. This is a simulation of how matter in the universe arranges itself. And this is what the neural network in the brain looks like. About 30% of the universe is matter, both dark and ordinary, and the other about 70% is dark energy, which is largely a mystery. And similarly, the human brain is about 70% water and 30% brain cells. Where it gets crazy is that matter in the universe and brain cells both arrange themselves in long connected filaments. These filaments form the neural network in the brain and the cosmic web in space. And scientists found that the density distribution and structure of matter in the universe and brain cells in the cerebellum is very similar. As you can imagine, the scale between these two things are opposite, but it's possible that the structure and connectivity between these two networks follow similar physical principles.
So as I was engaged this morning in preparation for this show so that I could fully fulfill my godly calling here with you today, and that is to impart knowledge and analysis to you where you cannot find anywhere else. You can't find what we talk about here anywhere else. I've been called by God to do this with you, ladies and gentlemen. And I ran across a recent edition of the Pierce Morgan show as I was doing show prep, and he had a scientist named Stephen Meyer on the show. I found it even more fascinating. Got really into this, and I'm going to show you some clips here in a minute, but I want to give you some context. So the creation of the universe, we've all heard of the Big Bang, right? It's the almost universally accepted how-to that created our universe, right? But when we look at the Big Bang, or I should, to be more proper for the sake of context, prior to the Big Bang, there was nothing. Okay, and that word is a big word, nothing. That's a deep, vast word when you think about it. There was no matter present. There was nothing present to cause the Big Bang to happen. But yet, the Big Bang did happen. There has to be something beyond nothing in order for something to happen. There had to be something beyond material causes in the universe to cause the Big Bang, because nothing in nature could have possibly caused it, because nature and its elements didn't exist. Nothing existed. So by definition, the Big Bang is a supernatural event. And I want to get into this at some great length on today's show about all of this, because in it resides the very proof of the existence of a willful, omnipresent, and loving God. I'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you go over to dougbillings.us, click on the donate tab over there, and support us. Stay with me. A lot more to come about God. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that you could change the trajectory of your aging process? Look and feel better, live younger, be more active, less pain when you move around, sleep better, diminish the lines and the wrinkles on your face? Really? This is what I'm telling you. It's possible. You see, low stem cell activity happens when we get older, and it could be causing many of the health problems that some people have in the world today. Because as we get older, we have less stem cell activity, which means we age faster and we heal slower. The secret is a clinically proven and patented phototherapy non-transdermal patch, whose technology is the result of over 90 clinical studies and over 20 years of research. Your healthier life can begin today, and you can discover true age reversal. Age reversal, ladies and gentlemen. Please go to liveyoungerwithdoug.us. liveyoungerwithdoug.us, ladies and gentlemen. Get over there today. Or if you'd like, text my name, Doug, to 41372. Doug, text it, 41372. And get over to liveyoungerwithdoug.us. Get younger, feel younger. I'm doing it. I'm wearing this patch. I feel great. And so will you. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Thanks very much. We stand shoulder to shoulder together, you and me, trying to experience and explore and discover the wonder and the joy and the meaning of life that was intended to us from God himself. And that's in part why the founders were so inspired to write our founding documents. All of this inspiration, the supernatural inspiration, the divine providence of God, all of that came together for the founders when they looked at this world, nature, nature's law, the things within the world, life, the beauty of all life, and the creation as could be created only by a willful creator. So the Big Bang happened. Nothing can happen when nothing is present. Supernatural occurrence occurred. There was no matter. So in order to prove, now listen carefully, in order for us to prove the origin of matter, we can't use matter in the theory of how matter came to be, right? In case you're from Raytown, Missouri, one more time. In order to prove the origin of matter, stuff, we can't use matter or stuff in our theories about how matter came to be. We're forced, logically so, to look to something outside of the material universe, beyond the bounds of time and space, in order to find out what could have caused all of this. The Big Bang needed something divine, something supernatural. The Big Bang needed God, who is not bound by traditional definitions and concepts, not bound by time and space, who has causal powers, who can act out his will, and a God who can initiate a change of status from nothing to, in fact, something. Now, I'm going to show you bits of this interview. I want you to take a look and a listen to Stephen Meyer here on the Pierce Morgan Show. Clip number 2.
Hypothesis. You argue there are 3 big scientific discoveries that point to the existence of God. I want to go through these. One, the Big Bang Theory. So why would that lend support to a theory of a God? Or God?
Well, right. Maybe just a little framing before I dive into the evidence. Professor Dawkins at Oxford has said that the universe has precisely the properties that we should expect if at bottom there is no purpose, no design, nothing but blind, pitiless indifference. And though I'm on the opposite side of this science via God issue with the good professor, I think he does a marvelous job of framing key issues. And this is one of those great framing quotations, because what he's saying is that whether we think of it as a scientific question or a philosophical question or both, if we have a hypothesis about reality, the way we test that is by looking at the world around us and seeing if what we see comports with what we would expect to see if our hypothesis were true. And his hypothesis is that of blind, pitiless indifference, which is a shorthand way of saying that everything came about by strictly undirected material processes. And what the materialists expected coming into the early 20th century was evidence of an eternal, self-existent universe, one that had been here for an infinitely long time and therefore did not need an external creator. What, in fact, the astrophysicists, the cosmologists, the astronomers found was evidence of a universe that had a definite beginning, and therefore one that could not have created itself, because before the matter of the universe came into existence, there was no matter there to do the causing. And so the picture of the universe that has emerged starting from the 1920s all the way to the present, both from observational astronomy and from theoretical physics, is a universe that had a definite beginning and therefore requires some sort of external creator or cause.
So I find this discussion absolutely incredible. And I know faith is a gift. I get it. I know that not everybody has this gift. I understand that. And when a conversation blends science and faith together, I find it intriguing. I personally, I've often thought that there would be a very, very small chance, if any at all, that our Earth, the universe, and our galaxy could have been created by some sort of cosmic accident. Oh, it's just a wild accident that we landed just the right distance from the sun to support life and so forth. And that we have our sun to support life that doesn't fry us, right? Or that there's water on this planet. Speaking of water, I go scuba diving from time to time. And when I'm at depth, looking at the abundant life all around me, ladies and gentlemen, everything from the coral to the fish to the plant life to the water and the sunlight, everything. There is, I can tell you, and for those of you who have been scuba diving, you know what I mean. There is a choreography down there. Now, there's a choreography up here too, but maybe it's because I'm up here so often that sometimes I take the choreography up here a little bit for granted sometimes. When I'm down at depth, where I'm not very often, my eyes are wide or open to all of that, right? Be like a blind person seeing for the first time. Wow, look at all. And, you know, the word choreography comes to mind, the balance and the weaving of life in our world. Because when I'm scuba diving and I see all of the life down there and the elements all around me, ladies and gentlemen, there is no way that I can convince myself that all of that life, coral, fish, plants, water, people, the sunlight filtering through the water, I can't convince myself that any of it was caused by some sort of a cosmic accident. There is purpose. There is rhythm. There is choreography in all of the life, not just the life under the sea. And today, that's our challenge, to see this choreography. And more importantly, who is the choreographer? Who's the director of this dance? More on this when I come back. In the meantime, head over to dougbillings.us. Click on the donate tab at the top of the website and help me out. Subscribe. Monthly, recurring amounts, whatever you can afford. I'll be right back with God. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
I want to tell you about the good people over at EMP Shield, electromagnetic pulse. Electromagnetic pulse, ladies and gentlemen. It can fry your home electrical system or your vehicle's electrical system. But if you attach one of these, now this is for your breaker box at home. There's a smaller version that goes on your battery of your car, your vehicle, that will prevent it from being fried in the event of an electromagnetic pulse. Because as you know, thanks to Administrator Biden, many people coming across the border now who don't exactly have the best of intentions. Protect yourself. EMPshield.com. Get huge discounts over there if you use the promo code Doug.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Thanks for heading over to dougbillings.us. I appreciate it. We gladly will accept your help over there. There's a donate tab at the top of the website. Click on it. It's intuitive. Find out ways that you can set up a reoccurring monthly donation to the program so that we can continue to bring you the truth. And these kinds of truths are important. Also, for those of you planning events, whether you've got Lincoln Day dinners coming up, you've got other graduation parties coming up, you have events where you need swag, you need products, you need some gifts. I want to remind you of republicpromos.com. Head over to republicpromos.com, please. It's a faith-based, women-owned organization that can ship you anything, anywhere on the planet. And they have great service, great customer service. They have great products. republicpromos.com. And when you're over there and you've made your decision on what you need, use the promo code Billings, my last name, and you'll get deep and significant discounts over there. Okay, so God and choreography and rhythm and purpose in life. It's all intertwined. The cosmos, us. You can't get nothing. You can't get something out of nothing. We're talking about all of this and how it leads to the divine providence that we so often refer to as God himself. And this interview that Pierce Morgan did with Stephen Meyer continued on. And Stephen Meyer discussed what's called the Goldilocks zone. And it's a little bit, it's about what I talked about in the prior segment of the show. It's absolutely, it's a wild stretch of the imagination, to say the least, to think that the earth and the universe was created and life exists here on this planet just because of some sort of a accident in space, right? So I want to play clip 3 for you when they talk about the Goldilocks zone and a few other topics here, and I'll come back on the other side and give you some analysis and some thoughts about it. Clip number 3 with Pierce Morgan and Stephen Meyer, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't believe in God, but what was there before the Big Bang, before this all started? In other words, what was there before supposedly nothing? What is nothing? Nothing to me seems to be a totally incongruous word. What is nothingness? And if you can't explain it, to me, and I believe in God, but to me, it suggests there must be a power bigger than the human mind at the start of all this that was able to comprehend what may have happened, because we can't.
Right. Dawkins wants to portray theistic belief as if it's equivalent to belief in fairies, and he'll concede that, well, it's possible. But I think there's a stronger argument for the theistic case, and that is that when scientists and philosophers reason from evidence, they typically use a method of reasoning that has a technical name. It's called inferring to the best explanation, where the best explanation is one where you're invoking a cause which has the kind of powers that would be required to explain the phenomenon of interest. And you correctly pointed out in your conversation with him that when you get back to that, what physicists often call the singularity, the point where matter, space, time, and energy begin to exist, The materialist is really up against a huge conundrum, because prior to the origin of matter, there is no matter to do the causing. That's what we mean by the origin of matter, that's where it starts.
Right.
And so if you want to invoke a cause which is sufficient to explain the origin of matter, you can't invoke matter. It's in principle, the materialistic explanations are in principle insufficient. So you need to invoke something which is external to the material universe and is not bounded by time and space as well. And that starts to paint a picture of the kind of cause you would need that has the sort of attributes the traditional theists have traditionally associated with God. God is a timeless, God is outside of time and space, has causal powers, is an agent with volition, and therefore can initiate a change of state from, in this case, nothing to something.
Hear what Pierce said in that piece, in that clip? Nothing. Can we truly comprehend nothing? It's a good question. I'm not sure that we can. I mean, we can think of blackness. We can think of emptiness. We can think of space, perhaps. But there's stuff in space. There's stars and matter and so forth. So can we truly comprehend what nothing is? Well, I'm convinced of one thing. I'm convinced that nothing can happen from nothing. There has to be some initiating force. And that initiating force, I think, has to have something, stuff, right? We call it matter, in order to create something else. You have to have the things available to create other things. You have to have stuff, right? You have to have ingredients, matter. So the singularity, I liked that as well. The moment when matter, space, time, and energy came into existence. It's probably where atheists lose most of their credibility when they talk about this, because before there was nothing, there's no matter, no anything, there was truly nothing. There was nothing in existence that could have caused the Big Bang. Therefore, don't you think there had to be a willful intent to create matter from nothing? And why do I say willful intent? Because nothing can happen from nothing. There must have been willful intent. Now, cynics out there often make remarks like, well, believing in God amounts to nothing more than believing in fairies. And in my opinion, that's not only illogical, it's also intellectually immature. Because I can outline, as I am here today with you, how there can't be a Big Bang or any other kind of creative force that takes place within the realm of nothingness. The mathematical precision of the Big Bang is worth noting, because in reality, what I notice when I'm scuba diving is exactly that. The mathematical precision that allowed for all of this life that's down there to exist and to have that choreography. The creation, the placement of Earth, our own solar system, our universe, it's so accurate and precisely created that it defies, and I think it in fact disproves, any kind of explanation about an accidental creation. Well, it just was a big, explosion in space. Well, the explosion in space had to be caused from something, and again, something can't happen from nothing. So, something outside space and time, something that is eternal, something with a will, must therefore have supernaturally created matter and time and space and energy, creating, as Dr. Stephen Meyer said, the singularity. It's much more statistically possible for that to be the case than to suggest everything that we have in existence happened by accident or that somehow happened by itself. And the life that came forth from that moment, ladies and gentlemen, especially human life, is good by its nature. We tend towards that which is good. And I'll get into that when we come back from this break. God bless you. I'll be right back. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that you could change the trajectory of your aging process? Look and feel better, live younger, be more active, less pain when you move around, sleep better, diminish the lines and the wrinkles on your face? Really? This is what I'm telling you. It's possible. You see, low stem cell activity happens when we get older, and it could be causing many of the health problems that some people have in the world today. Because as we get older, we have less stem cell activity, which means we age faster and we heal slower. The secret is a clinically proven and patented phototherapy non-transdermal patch, whose technology is the result of over 90 clinical studies and over 20 years of research. Your healthier life can begin today, and you can discover true age reversal. Age reversal, ladies and gentlemen. Please go to liveyoungerwithdoug.us. liveyoungerwithdoug.us, ladies and gentlemen. Get over there today. Or if you'd like, text my name, Doug, to 41372. Doug, text it, 41372. And get over to liveyoungerwithdoug.us. Get younger, feel younger. I'm doing it. I'm wearing this patch. I feel great. And so will you. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Thanks very much for joining me today. I think, this is one of those topics when we take a step back from the chaos that's in the world and our government and so forth, and we just kind of remind ourselves there is a purpose, there is a choreography, there's a reason for this. We are here on purpose. We are not here by accident. We have the ability to see through the chaos to the other side and to see that, in fact, life is good and that we tend towards, as human beings, what is good. Now, people can clearly make decisions to do evil. Absolutely so. We all know that. Look around the world today. We can make decisions to break away from the divine purpose that leads to meaning and wonder, and instead cling to that which causes chaos and which causes a loss of happiness. We do tend towards the good. And I'd like to remind you that with regards to evil, think about this. There is no truly happy evil person. There is no truly happy evil person. So those that tend towards evil, that choose evil, that go towards those decisions, they cannot be, and in fact are not happy. They are not truly happy. So in the last segment of the interview that Pierce Morgan had with Stephen Meyer, they go into some of these kinds of things about life's mysteries and challenges, adversity, tragedy, and so forth. Here's clip number 4, ladies and gentlemen.
Your big bedrocks of your book.
Well, this is one way that the physicists refer to something that they call the fine-tuning of the universe, or sometimes they talk about it, the anthropic fine-tuning. The idea is that the most fundamental parameters of physics fall within very narrow ranges or tolerances, outside of which we have discovered life would not be possible. Even basic chemistry would not be possible. So the force responsible for the expansion of the universe, called the cosmological constant, is fine-tuned. An accepted value is to 1 part in 10 to the 90th power. So a smidge faster or slower in that expansion, and you either get a heat death of the universe or you get a big crunch, a great black hole. In either case, life is not possible. That's just one of many parameters that fall within that kind of a sweet spot. So sometimes the physicists do talk about our living in a Goldilocks universe. Luke Barnes has written a wonderful book about the fine-tuning, a physicist who also did his PhD at Cambridge, has written a book called The Fortunate Universe. So these types of terms are now making their way into physics because physicists did not expect that life would depend upon such an exquisitely and improbably arranged set of basic parameters. But there we have it. They did. This is what they found.
If I said to you, Con, the two or three things you'd most like to know the answer to that no one's ever worked out, what would they be?
I think it's the well, I just lost my mother, and I think the deepest and hardest questions in life are not actually these big metaphysical questions. I think if you think carefully about them, there's a pretty clear answer. But I think it's the questions that come up because of the events in your own life, and sometimes suffering, sometimes joys, why things went this way rather than that way. Those are the questions I think are the hardest ones, the existential questions of one's own personal experience.
I'm very sorry about your mother.
I shouldn't have introduced a personal element like that. But
I'm glad you did, because actually it does play into what you just said. Did that whole experience of losing your mother, did it change any of your thinking about any of this?
I think the experience of grief was something that was unexpected in how intense it was. She had dementia and had been in decline for several years. You think you're prepared when you're losing someone by degrees, but there's a finality of death that I think overtakes all of us in that moment of grief. And there's something about the grief experience that it seems to make everything else pale to insignificance in that moment. And I think it's kind of, my own view of it is this kind of a signal. Like your conscience tells you what's right and wrong, I think grief is telling you about what's really important, and that in that instance, what was important is that we had lost a person of eternal value. And so, I think it was, you're never really prepared for the loss of a parent, and I thought I was, but I wasn't.
Do you take comfort because of your religious conviction that you'll see your mother again in an afterlife?
I absolutely do, yeah. And I think, when I was on the Rogan program, he was probing about both the objective evidence for belief in God and my subjective experience. And I would never base an argument to another scientist or philosopher on my subjective experience. But I think belief in God has, I think, legitimate objective and subjective basis. And I think that mysterious moment when you see a loved one passing, when the body is there, but the person is gone, it raises some profound metaphysical questions, or maybe a metaphysical awareness that there is something more than the material that is part of all of us.
So in a way, what you went through with your mother may have actually intensified your own belief in your theory about all this.
Yeah, sure.
Because you felt it.
Yeah, exactly.
This is all so good to think about in that clip. So much to unpack, so much to contemplate, and so much to pray on in that clip. I mean, imagine an eternal being who took his desire for life and willfully created Earth for us within the universe, which he also created. And we can discern and pray further about that God of the universe who was moved to the point of creation to create something out of nothing, who we think and we believe is calling to us. This is why within our very nature, the vast majority of us tend towards the good, because every one of us, no matter our pasts, no matter our past decisions, no matter what we'll do in the future, every single one of us have the divine spark within us. Our lives, by their very nature, are sacred. That's why the right to life is so important to protect. And that's why every life is sacred. The unborn baby, absolutely. The inmate on death row, also, absolutely. That death mate's life is just as sacred as the baby within the womb. We separate the decisions of a born adult person away from the innocence of a child, but you cannot separate the divine spark from anybody's life. And so I urge you to think about that when we think about the right to life. And when I advocate for natural birth to natural death, think about it. We can sense, I think, all of us, especially during times of adversity, challenge, and tragedy, that there's something there holding us together somehow, enabling us to survive. Maybe it's because we have hope that there's something better. Maybe it's because we have the strength to endure, that we know that we have to endure for the sake of other people who we love in this life. Whatever the reasons, there's something there. And this survival depends more upon our ability to reason and to discern than anything else. The survival depends on discernment and reason that are sharpened, if you will, strengthened through prayer. Challenges, adversity, tragedy, every one of us out there face these things. You know, I've often told the story of my two sons, Grant and Michael. Grant is a typical 30-year-old man. Michael is 21 years old. He happens to have Down syndrome. I won't go into the entire story about that. I've told it before, but the dawning of blessing for me occurred during the lives of both of my sons, as every parent out there understands this. But with regards to Michael, I can tell you that his trisomy 21, Down syndrome, helped me to awaken to the benefits of the beauty, seeing everything that comes to me in my life as a gift. There's great benefit in that. And so I put it to you, everything that has come your way in this life, see it as a gift. Michael has an extra 21st chromosome. I call it the divine chromosome because it removes prejudice, venom, jealousy, narcissism, and more. It's as if God reached down and gave these people this little divine microscopic addition that bestows upon them incredible gifts of being able to see wonder and joy and meaning in this life in the simplest of things, and to be almost always happy. And that's really where I want to go here and now with you. As I begin to take my leave today from this program and you, I want to suggest ultimately that we have got to begin to try to see everything in this life as a gift, the challenges, the tragedies, the adversities. And yes, in America, the Biden administration is a tragedy. It's a challenge. It's an adversity. And you know what? It's a gift. The border crisis, a challenge, a tragedy, an adversity. And it's a gift. Because within these challenges, tragedies, and adversities, we can see blessings that are waiting to be born. We need to know that they are there. We need to believe that they are there. And the great reawakening that we're seeing in this nation is only part of the miracle and the blessing that's being brought about by all of those challenges, adversities, and tragedies, adversity, and challenges. So think of it in those terms. Death, birth, loss and gain, happy moments, sad moments, a typical child or a child with special needs, losing a job, getting a job. It's all a gift. Please try to realize that and contemplate it, pray on it, because it's the pathway to gratitude. Thank you, God, for everything that has come my way in this life. Gratitude results in the birthing of happiness and fulfillment in your life. Gratitude is the pathway of discovery to wonder, joy, and meaning in your life. An example today is kids. Kids ought to be taught to be grateful for their genders, for their God-given identity, not encouraged to mutilate that which God has given them. Grateful people, ladies and gentlemen, are the happiest people on this planet and in the universe. Believe it, ladies and gentlemen, for the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.